which is the final plenary for day one, promises to even be better than the first two that we've had. Now, this plenary will focus on collaborate, build strong alliances that last. And this plenary is proudly sponsored by BMO Advisory Services. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you very much, BMO Advisory Services, for sponsoring this, and it's my pleasure to make welcome the able moderator for this panel, who will come up stage to bring up other members of the conversation. Let's make welcome award-winning journalist and CEO, Kashura Productions, Ketura King, to moderate this panel. A round of applause for her, please. Thank you very much. Collaborate, build strong alliances that last.
Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Awesome. Good afternoon to you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and of course, our esteemed speakers. My name is Ketura King, and as previously stated, I am a journalist. I'm also a producer. I have my own production company based in Lagos, Nigeria, and I'll be your moderator today for Plenary 3. Today, we'll be exploring a critical imperative in the modern business landscape. That is, the art of using collaboration as the cornerstone to build robust and enduring alliances. That's cute. Today's world is characterized by rapid change, complexity, and interconnectedness. So, the ability to forge meaningful partnerships has become not only a strategic advantage, but indeed a necessity for sustainable success. Over the next hour, we will be delving into the principles, the strategies, and some of the ways that we can best underpin the creation of strong alliances through collaboration. Via our honored speakers, we will be examining real-world examples, dissect best practices, and uncover the vital role that high-level executives play in this endeavor. From fostering open communication, just like we're having right now, to navigating conflicts and measuring impact. Our discussion will equip you with the insights and tools necessary to excel in the realm of strategic collaboration. I'd like to invite 3 people who can talk about this subject a little bit better than I can. It's time to welcome our esteemed speakers to the stage. We'll start with Ekene Isiche, Managing Partner, ACIOE Associates. Next up, Yemisi Awonuga, Partner, Templars. And last but by no means least, Oman Odike, founder and CEO of UConnect Human Resources and Great Jobs SN. All right, I'm sure our audience is raring to go, and I'm raring to ask these questions to you. Yemisi, are we okay? All righty. You got a microphone? Perfect. Ekene, you have a very, very interesting professional origin story. With a brief summary of that, who are some of these strategic partnerships that you've had that you would say have shaped your trajectory, and why?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. The first thing I'd like to say is I want to thank all the WinBiz executives, the planning team. Fantastic job. What you have seen here is the power of partnerships. You know, 3 years ago, I was actually saying that one day I'll probably speak on this panel, on this stage, but well, God made it happen, so I'm thankful. The question you asked around partnerships, I think is important for everyone. I work for an advisory firm called ACIO Associates. We have 4 offerings: digital transformation, the health landscape, government affairs, and the social development space. For the first 3 years when we started, it was extremely tough for us. And during that period, we now realized that if we're going to scale, if we're going to grow, then we have to work with partners. Partners who can help us, partners who can teach us about structure. And so we have evolved, and now the same firm that the first 3 years was really tough for us, now we don't work for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Amazon, Twitter, Microsoft Foundation. We have evolved. And that just shows you the power of partnerships. That's number one. Number two, we have to think about how do we mitigate our risk. So we have to think about partnerships in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. So what we did was we collaborated with the Corporate Council on Africa based in Washington, D.C., because they had a US-Africa approach. Working with the Corporate Council on Africa, we've been able to do a lot of things in Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, Ghana, Togo, Morocco, just to name a few. And that's just leveraging on the fact that you just can't focus only on Nigeria, but go beyond that. The third one is our clients are also our partners. So we did realize that when our clients are successful, when our clients are doing well, we're part of that good success story. And so we have evolved with our clients. We have gone from just a client consultant relationship to partners. And lastly, because we also have a government affairs unit, it's important that we also have a voice in the public space. So we've worked with the Ministries of Health, Ministries of Trade and Investment, and a few others, because of the fact that we realize that we also have to have our voice in these places, and we also have to leverage our partnerships. So those are just 4 areas that I'll just kick off with. Thank you.
Fantastic answer. Thank you very much, Ekene. Yemisi, I'll move on to you. Now, I think it's safe to say, and I believe our audience will agree with me, in saying that thriving is a choice. How would you say that you prepared yourself mentally in order to thrive as you were growing up? And who would you say some of your role models have been who have influenced your decision to thrive?
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Thanks for the question, and also thanking the executives of Wimbiz for the opportunity, to be here. You're going to permit me to refine the choice to thrive. I grew up under a father. It wasn't an option, right? It wasn't A, to thrive, B, not to thrive, C, others. You must thrive. That was it, right? So there was that recognition of biological differences, male, female, but it wasn't a weakness. The uniqueness of the female child growing up with my male siblings wasn't a weakness, right? So from day one, if you go out, you drive the car, you're not going to have a flat tire and leave that car for the male siblings to fix. If you can enjoy a benefit, I was taught to be able to also be part of the people that will create the solution if there are challenges. And that, for me, was my orientation growing up, right? So if you're asking me, I will say I'm very grateful to my father for that.
I think Daddy's done a wonderful job. Amon, we'll move on to you. Now, is it working? Alrighty. You have an incredibly interesting platform. It's one that I find fascinating. You've launched the first of its kind HR recruitment platform in Africa. So what can you share as it pertains to successful alliances that you've been a part of that have had a significant impact on you?
Okay, thank you everyone. Good evening everyone, and thank you for the members of the Wimbiz committee and all those who have put together this wonderful conference. So thank you. Okay, when my background is HR, I'm a lawyer, moved into the HR space about 15, 16 years ago. And of course, just like a lot of people who start off a business, you really don't know what you're going to be doing. But very quickly, I'm the one person who is very operational, never really came to the forelight. Nobody really knew me. I was just working. And one day, my story about the first collaboration that happened in my business was a friend of mine, who is a Wimbiz member, called me and said, participate in this in this competition. It was an international competition with the Ernst & Young, the Tolmilu Foundation, Michael Porter Business School, the Harvard Business School with Michael Porter in conjunction. And I said, no, I wasn't interested. I want to just do the work and deliver to the clients. And she just kept on pushing. And long and short was I participated in the competition. This was like in 2013. And I emerged the winner, #1 female in Nigeria for the fastest growing companies, and 11 amongst the number 50. And that was an eye-opener for me. I was like, do I have to sit at the background all the time? I may actually just come out and maybe something good will be there. And that led to then exposure when I went to Harvard Business School, the entrepreneurship program, learned for 3 days with all the top entrepreneurs around the world. And that was the birth of the idea of moving my brick and mortar business, which is HR consulting as you know it, into the digital space. And of course, when you have that idea, as way back in 2013, when technology was not really that, people didn't really know much about technology. It was just a little information here and there. And for me as a lawyer, no clue about how it would work. And of course, just very quickly, coming back to Nigeria, I remember one of the partners who gave us the award, Ernst & Young, and I reached out to them and said, oh, this is what I was going to do. I'm looking for technical partners. I want to, in fact, I didn't use the word collaborate. I just needed help. And they said, oh, we can help you. We'll do all the advisory. You don't really have to pay us something. You just give us some minimal amount that will help with administrative work. And they stayed in my office for 5 good months, building the idea, building the plan, building everything end to end on how we're going to launch the first of its kind HR recruitment platform, which became Great Jobs NG, which we launched 2.5 years after in Lagos. And very quickly, that was an example of where you could see that people with shared value, shared interests, shared ideas came together to actually build that. And that led me to meeting another group of people, LBS, even Nigerian Breweries was actually part of it, Mobile, and a lot of other companies. And most of them threw their weight. So collaboration sometimes is not actually financial gain, because I don't think I even got financial help or backing for the launch. It was more of just giving credibility to the platform and say, yes, we are part of it. And of course, LBS gave the content. And that was one of the first experience I had with collaboration that really stood out for me.
Fantastic. Round of applause, please. So the word of today, well, at least for Plenary 3, is collaboration, as we know. In your experience, Yemisi, what strategies or tools have proven most effective for fostering effective collaboration in your professional and personal life?
I think I'll start with professional life. First, you need to admit that no man is an island. You can't do it all by yourself. You can't. You need people, you need systems. You need a good system to even harness your skills, no matter how fantastic you are. And the moment you embrace that truth, right, it helps, because you then know that you need the other person. And it can be as you thinking you need your managing partner as much as you need the typist, because it's a system. That is very important and critical. I also tell people, and what has worked for me is that when you're building alliances, there are 2 things: building yourself and building the alliance, right? If you're coming to the table, it can't be that every time we hear your voice, it's a need, it's a burden, it's a need, it's a burden. What are you bringing to that table? Excellence, commitment, passion, dedication. You have to bring these things to the table, right? It's easier to form lasting friendships that, there's mutual respect when you're coming. And I'm not talking here about bringing money, value. So as a professional, the day you were recruited, were you recruited because you were a friend of the managing partner? That wasn't why you were recruited. You were recruited for the value that you're bringing to the table. So when you get into that system, what's the first thing to establish? Don't be an employer's remorse, right? Find it as a woman, commit to it, whatever it is, do it and be known as that person that, you know what, she's giving her best. And that's why there's a difference in the way we report failure. If you have given your best, it's not a failure. If you have not given your best, maybe you can say you failed. But if you've given your best, and there's a test for these things. So I think the first part is building yourself, right? Then building alliances. And I think that's the part that goes to emotional intelligence. And we get better by the day. Maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you'd probably say, I'll do it myself. But as you get older, you know, you really can't do it yourself. And there are things you can't also control in life. You wake up today, maybe you need to take a child to the hospital. There's a 9 a.m. meeting waiting. If you have created enemies all around, who's going to step in? Who? So the more you realize these things, you understand. So what I'm discussing is not even the how of it now. It is, first of all, coming to terms with the fact that you need people. And when I talk about building these things, I'm not talking about building at to the detriment of your core values. So I'm not saying because you must build at all costs as a female, you sleep with your boss. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying your currency should be the value you're bringing to the table. And then in building alliances, you need to understand you need people, and needing people means you have to have an open mind. You have to be a good listener. You need to be understanding. Building with the top is different with building with the bottom. When you're building with the top, you're building maybe the senior partners, the managing partner, for instance, in a legal environment. You need to embrace the objectives of that institution. If you don't want to be there, leave. But if you're there, embrace, be loyal to whatever it is that is being done. It's a currency that always works when you went to negotiate. Last year, my father was very ill. I'm 45. My father has never called me to come to I need you. My father empowers women, right? So anything that will make you succeed. But I got that call, I need you by the bedside. I needed to be available, right? I was away for like 2 weeks. When I spoke with my managing partner, later, it was a random conversation. And he said, 2 clients called and said they couldn't reach you. And I told them, when she's working, is undivided attention. So I'm sure she's paying undivided attention to her father. Let her be. It reinforced something in me, right? That there's a currency to negotiate because as a Christian, yes, we're living by the word of God, but when those things happen, people in your network have a role to play. So every opportunity is an opportunity to create that enabling environment. So at the bottom level, you have to be understanding. The fact that maybe, there's a driver that is available for you, a nanny, and things are available, doesn't mean that that junior person has all those things, right, at their disposal. So I remember one of the places where I've worked where they get into your life to know your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and you wonder. But when I look back, I'm like, it works. Because if I know that this junior has to attend to a mom at a particular time over the weekend and it probably informs. But if she's brought value, you're able to sit and say, okay, let's work out something. Which is why I'm saying value female, whatever the job or the role is. Don't murmur and grumble and you'll get to that next level. Where you are at, that's why people will queue to have a BM Pro do their makeup. What have they recognized? Excellence. It will always make a way. So to sum that up, excellence, and then if you're dealing with your team, understanding your team, it's very important, very, very key. And on the top, embrace whatever it is that they've embraced. Loyalty, dedication, passion, those things, you can't go wrong.
You can't buy it, absolutely.
You can't buy it.
I love what you said about failure, because a lot of people tend to think, particularly in your professional career, that failure is a swear word. It's not. Oprah says fail, but fail upwards. Learn from your mistakes. Once you're learning, you're growing. Once you're growing, ultimately you start thriving. So Ekene, let's talk. The MSC's covered the tips, the tricks, the strategies, the things that we should look out for, or things that we should do rather. But it's not all roses and sunshine in one's professional career. So tell me about some of the challenges that you have faced as it pertains to collaborations, and how a person can avoid exploitation when they choose to collaborate or they are being collaborated with.
When it comes to collaboration, and take this as free advice because some of us have been burned by bad partnerships. Get a good lawyer. Get a good lawyer. Even if the person is your friend, even if the person is your cousin, or even your sister or brother, get a good lawyer. And let me use this example. So we have a foreign partner, not that we have a foreign partner. And so we were renegotiating our agreement or our partnership or what we're going to do over the next few years. And they came up with 10 conditions that would have given us modern-day slavery. So you know what we did? We decided to talk to Templars next door. So we partnered with Templars. I'm giving you free advertising now. So we partnered with Templars and went back to the drawing table. By the time we were done, 9 out of 10 came back in our favor. And today, we're smiling, we have grown. We have grown as a firm just because of the fact that we had to make our legal agreement tight. 2, you need to understand that your values as a company or an individual may be different from the partnership you're looking at. So take away the emotions from it. Do you have the same values? What about the diversity within those places? In our firm, most of those who are in management are women. I can be speaking to a firm that most of them are all men. Another firm that one. So we look at those things. We look at, are they all men in the firm? Okay, if they're an international organization, how do they treat Africans? How do they treat Nigerians? How do they treat women? If the values don't align, so sorry, we can't partner with you. We don't need the money. We honestly don't need the money. Because, and I will say this, right? We had a former client who came to us to help them out with some of their regulatory issues. And so we decided to help them out. So in working with them, decided, and this was an American firm. So anybody who's a lawyer knows about the FPCA Act, and then also for the UK Anti-Bribery Act. They wanted us, the Nigerian firm, to give money to the Nigerian officials to do the dirty deed for them. You know what we told them? No. So the man looked at me like, you said no. I said, no, we can't do that. Because the moment you open room for compromise, they will exploit it. So we decided not to do that. And guess what? They terminated our agreement the very next day. Then they sent an email to us telling us that we should bill them for our level of effort in dollars. We told them, no, keep your dollars. So let it not be said tomorrow that when you got the permit, somehow we were involved in that process. So I'm telling you that sometimes you have to make sacrifices. And guess what? I say it again. As a firm, we have grown. So get a lawyer, make sure your structure is right, and don't be emotional about these things. When you're becoming emotional, get somebody who's independent to take over and transact on your behalf. So that's just the free game I'll give.
That is an incredibly valid point, particularly the one about not being emotional. And I'm very thankful that came from a man, not a woman, because it speaks to the fact that we're all humans at the end of the day. And sometimes when you're too close to a project, because it is your passion, you can't see the forest for the trees. So, Amon, let's talk YouTube. 6 months ago, you launched your very own YouTube channel that focuses on entrepreneurship and women empowerment.
Yeah.
So tell me some of the gems that you've picked up as it pertains to thriving and collaborating from some of your guests on your channel.
Okay. Before I even start, I mean, we're all women here, and you heard that
Mostly women, not
Okay.
all women.
very few men. Even the men are involved. Can you take out your phones, open your YouTube channel, and click Almost Couch? It's actually an entrepreneurship and career development talk show. What this does, or why we even started at all, why I started, for so many years, I had people ask me to mentor them. And if those who are close to me know, I would love to. I would even help you grow your business if it's possible. But for some reason, I never have time because I'm in people management. Managing people all over Nigeria is the hardest task I can think of, and that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. So after a while, I said, how can I do this? And this was before YouTube became very popular. 2-3 years ago, I said, let me use a platform that I can speak to people with using technology. I'm big on technology. And roll out, discussions with women who have seen it all, been there, done that, had issues, problems, surmounted them, be able to navigate the entire system and becomes very successful in what they are doing. And that's what the channel does. So having that said, I actually launched in April this year, and it has been amazing feedback I've gotten. Thank God people don't really disturb me so much to give them one-on-one mentorship. Then going by your question, I've had remarkable women, and one of them, she may be here today, her name is Osaye Alile, who is very big on entrepreneurship. She's one of the, I think, executives of Wimbees, and she was on my couch, and she spoke about the NGO sustainability drives and how they're able to empower communities to be able to do a lot of things for the less privileged and all that. And there was something very peculiar in what she said. She said, without collaboration, the ACT Foundation does not exist. So you can imagine, so those women who are here, you know that if you are into NGOs or sustainability development programs, without collaboration with either technical partners, with financial partners, or whatever kind of partners, you cannot thrive. So that was she emphasized that that collaboration was very key for sustaining those companies and even running and supporting a lot of communities. Then another one, the second person I can mention will be Ezine Okonkwo. She's the cake boss, and I'm believing that we have women who are bakers here. Can we speak to that? Hello. So she also came on the couch, and she was very, her story was very inspiring. And what I like about her is that there are a lot of great bakers here, a lot of great bakers in Nigeria, but there's something, she took a step forward to say, what I know I want to share to the world, and not just to Nigeria, but into Africa and the world around. And what did she do? She collaborated with four ladies, one in Enugu, one in Port Harcourt, two in Lagos, to set up the first of its kind baking conference in Africa. And it has been an amazing, remarkable journey. And you can see that the partners she has, because I'm close to them, a lot of them have shared values. So you don't collaborate with people if you don't have shared values. A lot of them have integrity. Integrity is a key player in collaboration. Just like one of the panelists mentioned, I cannot do any business that does not reek with integrity. People ask and say, oh, do people not give you bribe? Do people not try to chase you? Well, if you understand HR and the people I serve here, we are very dogged. You can't even bring any of those things near me personally, or even my company. Even my employees understand that standard. So you must have people who, if you stand by integrity, you must ensure that the people you're partnering with also have that same shared value. And collaboration. I notice a lot of people say, let's collaborate, let's collaborate. It's a buzzword. At the end of the day, if it has no value for you, there's no need to go into it. So I'm not one of those people. I'm very practical. I'm a business person. I love to make money. It's what I sleep and breathe every day. And as God has put me on this earth, I will continue to make money. Of course, because He's the beginning and the author and creator of everything I do. And I'm sure so many people share that same sentiment. So when you talk about the shared value, you talk about having the same goals. one critical thing you have to also look at is that you must bring value. I think she had mentioned something like that. You must bring something to the table. If I bring something to the table, somebody else will bring something to the table. And what collaboration brings to the table is, if I don't have that expertise, you can bring in that expertise. So most times, the people I collaborate with either bring financial expertise, technical expertise, different types of expertise. And at the end of the day, we achieve a holistic value and goal at the end of the day. And that is more resounding than if you went on your own to actually achieve those goals. So I think I can stop here.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Amon. So there are 4 of us sitting on the stage. All 4 of us are Nigerians, but we all work with international clients or internationally. Yemisi, I'd like to ask you, in the context of cross-border cases and international clients, what are the unique challenges and opportunities that have arisen in collaborative efforts, and how did you address them?
Challenges and opportunities. I think I'll start with the opportunities, right? As I said earlier, no man is an island, and there's some that do it better than you, right? So there's power and a lot that you can achieve when you collaborate with the right partners. So in my own world, there are times you need to pitch to an international client, right? But it has a local component in Nigeria. So the international law firm needs to partner with the local law firm for you to put, that narrative or proposal forward. By yourself, you can't get the project. On their own, they also can't get the project. So you need to work together. Working together, once you're a good partner in the sense of the value, in terms of the technical value you bring to the table, the reasonability in terms of being able to engage, not being overly greedy, because you have to share the money. They probably pay them, higher than they'll pay you, but all in all, it improves even your own deliverable when you're working, so opportunities. In terms of challenges, international law firms, foreign lawyers, particularly, in the Western world, they're trained to lead. They're trained to dominate in a room, right? They're trained to own the space. Now, if you have a strong personality as well, and you want to lead, own the space, there could be a clash, right? The personality. Because they're really the ones speaking. They're the ones, they want to. And I think maybe that's just the nature of their training. You don't go there. You have to be active on your seat, and you have to justify your seat. That happens every now and again, which is why you probably may be in a situation, where there's a meeting, there are about 15 people joining a meeting, and you may find that all the others have agreed that 2 p.m. is fine. You just get a mail to say there's a meeting at 2 p.m., right? Nobody has asked you whether it works for you or not. And you may open your mouth and then say 2 p.m. doesn't work, and they say to you, your team will catch up, that kind of thing. What do you do? Now, there are different ways to play it. I've always believed that instead of fighting aggressively that first time to say, I can do 2 p.m., blah, 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 and they say to you to your face, catch up, what do you do really? If you don't want to always catch up, you will find a way to join that 2 p.m. meeting, but you would have scrubbed the document up, down, in between, top and bottom. You are on that table. By the time you're done with the meeting, the next meeting, they would ask you what time works for you as well. For me, that is the easiest way to fight when you are doing those kind of collaborations. It's easier. You can't get value if you don't put value. It's just that it's painful that we're always, a lot of times, this may be the first. You may have to do that first. You also have to be emotionally intelligent about these things. You have to understand where the power play is. If the client is never going to see you in the sense of it is just the foreign counsel that keeps appearing and you're feeding them from behind. Then you have to collaborate with that foreign counsel so that they don't, so that they come again, for repeat business. So I keep telling people there is no one-size-fits-all answer to collaboration and alliances, but I'm quick to understand the challenge. In this situation, they want to dominate and they don't want to have a voice. Do you want to have a voice? Yes. How? This is how to do it. In other situations, you're actually there to learn. You've never done that type of work before. You've never advised in relation to that type of work. So you are learning. Recognize that season. It's a season for learning. So you may be the most docile in the room because you are learning. But when you're taking that experience to the next one, you may then... So recognizing the season, recognizing your strength, and knowing that you may need to burn the midnight oil when you want value to be visible. Beautiful. It's a good currency.
Absolutely. It's interesting to note what you're saying, because there are points in time, like you said, that it's seasonal. Life is very seasonal. There are times where people see any one of you on stage and look at you and say, oh wow, he is an expert in their field. But they don't recognize the 20 odd years you've put into learning, dedicating yourself to honing your craft, There's a quote that I love that says, if you're paying me for a job, you don't pay me for the 30 minutes it takes for me to do the job. You pay me for the 10 years it took for me to learn how to do the job successfully. So I think that speaks to that very effectively. Ekonem, let's talk about these partnerships and the exploitation therein. So you told us that this could happen, as we know, but how is it that we determine which ones are legitimate and which ones to avoid?
It depends on your growth trajectory. So what we did that worked for us is we looked at who do we need to partner with in Nigeria, who do we need to partner with across Africa, and then who do we need to partner with internationally. So once we identified that, then we now looked at which companies are in line with our values. So like we said earlier on, one of our partnerships is with the Albright Stonebridge Group, which was led by former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. So that's one, and that's on the US side. Another one was the Corporate Council on Africa, so that had more of the Africa-wide lens, right? So we did that. And then in Nigeria here, we looked at Dentons from a law firm, so not just Templars. We also looked at Dentons from that point of view. All this was really around structure. You can't go into, how do I put this? You can't go into these partnerships with you have to move from a position of strength. And for us, that was important. So we're not just coming as a firm, we're coming with a body. We're coming with partnerships so that they understand that we're not just one Nigerian firm that you can exploit. We're bigger than that. We have a community around us. So sometimes when I was going to say that when you're negotiating on the international side, because we do this a lot, you have to come with that body that shows that this is our ecosystem. And what they do is they'll pay you for that ecosystem and not just pay you as an individual or pay you as one or two people. So even when we're putting our proposals together or our partnerships together, we put all these things in place so that they know. Because 9 out of 10, the international firm you want to partner with knows more about you than even you know about them. So we don't even do enough research, but they know more about us. So it's important that for us that we ask questions. We ask a lot of questions. We're not in a hurry to partner with anybody because we have learned our lessons. You rush in, you rush out. So take your time, ask the questions, be patient. Patience is the game. God has given us patience. Walk with God's patience. And you find out that you begin to see things that you didn't see before. And then, so you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. So that's what I would say. It goes back to structure, goes back to the stakeholders that you decide to partner with on different levels. And then the last one is, I would say, is, for us as a firm, I just want to make a point about this. We're also a diverse set of people. We have people that speak different languages in our firm. all Nigerians' land borders are surrounded by French-speaking countries. So when if you yourself are a business in this room, you're surrounded by French-speaking countries, all land borders, and nobody in your firm speaks French, think about it. ECOWAS, West Africa has 8 French-speaking countries, 2 Portuguese countries, and 5 English-speaking countries. That means most of the countries in West Africa speak French. So when you evaluate yourself as a business and even moving internationally, ask yourself one question. What languages do they speak in your firm? Is it all Yoruba? Is it all Hausa or Igbo? This is the reality of what you're looking at. The Yoruba man will not tell you that, but he sees it. They will not tell you that, but they see that your firm is not diverse, and they will exploit that. Thank you.
So what I'm hearing is patience and positioning equals profitable partnerships. Wonderful. Write that down, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Aman, let's talk about the fact that we are still recovering from the effects of COVID-19 that ravaged the world. As an HR executive, you, I think, are best placed to speak to the fact that a lot of people have had to start working from home. You know, you've got remote work, you've got hybrid working structures that exist now. So how can we adapt our strategies to build and maintain strong alliances in a virtual or more dispersed workplace?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I will use my company as an example as to how we have been able to run this remote work structure. So first and foremost, you know, normally you have your employee handbook, which is just the usual employee handbook, HR handbook that has 9 to 5, come to the office and all that. You start from there. You actually update and edit your employee handbook to reflect the remote work, whereby you now introduce your employees to having, maybe it all depends on the company. Like my own company, we do 3 days on and 2 days off. I would tell you, remote work is not for the faint-hearted, and I'm sure those who have been able to implement it have experienced this. I like to be very practical, and the understanding is you can put the technology in place, because first you do the employee handbook, you do all your policies to also reflect the remote work and working from home structures. And you also provide the technology for them to be able to work remotely. So it's not just for them to say, go at home, stay there and deliver. No, you must provide work tools. Work tools, apart from the systems and the tools that we use, they will need technology. Simple as Teams, Zoom meetings for meetings, and all the different tools that are out there, and even Slack. You could also move into ensuring that you define in your company the process that they will follow to deliver work. I am also guilty of this, so I'm not going to tell you a process that it's something that I know that I also have a problem with, whereby we monitor them. The truth is, about remote working, you don't really need to monitor them. Give them the tasks, define the tasks, give them the A to Z on how they'll be reporting that information back. And that will be the tool for actually measuring if they are working well. But working in Nigeria, we know that those who work online perfectly will also work offline perfectly. The people who have been in the office and have never really given so much to the work, remote work will only increase the gap, and you will see it very evidently. I've had to call the staff. We are running on a project with this international company. We are supposed to be signing off. And I call him, where are you? Because I can't get him. And he finally picks the phone after several calls. And you can hear a lot of buzz, traffic, everything. I'm like, remote work doesn't mean you should be in the market shopping. What does that mean? For me, that blows my mind. That's why I say, yes, we still have to monitor some of them. But the real sense of remote work, you can actually do measurements, put those processes in place, and see the outcome. Another one is clear communication. Clear communication, which means you define every single step of the way of how they will be communicated. And of course, team building exercises are some of the beautiful tools that you can do. There are a lot of games out there, and some of them are actually free. It's not something you have to pay so much for. But if you want to do remote work, do it well. Do not do half measures, because it's going to give you a very negative output. Then some of the other tools you can also use for remote work is ensuring that somebody actually manages each segment of the business whilst they are working remotely. So it actually works. I have some clients who actually have staff who are supposed to be in Nigeria, but they're actually working from the US, the UK, and they are thriving. If I had one of them who actually approached me, I think that was last year when things were really going crazy with the remote work, people leaving the country, so many things. They actually use remote work as a tool for retention within the organization, and it's actually working to a large extent, because one thing that happens is it works for a while, and I'm sure you can understand why it will work for a while. If I'm here in Nigeria and I'm maybe an IT person, I want to go over there, I get the chance to go over there, I start working for this multinational, I'm doing my IT over there and they're paying me. But very quickly you will notice that your skill and your level, I can earn in dollars. Why should I be collecting money for you? So a lot of them use it as a level, like a landing, a soft landing for their operations.
Thank you, Amon. We are, I think we've already run out of time. So I will just surmise by saying in summary, the alliances that we forge today are the foundation upon which our organizations can thrive in an ever-changing and ever-expanding global marketplace. We have been honored to guide you all on this journey, and we now invite you to engage in a question and answer session. Do we have the time? We do not. We do not invite you to engage in a question and answer session, but feel free to come up to any one of us after the program. We're happy and open to answering any questions that you may have. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much for a very robust conversation.